Ernest Nash Jr. is the mayor of Gould, Arkansas, a small town some 3 hours southeast of the capital of Little Rock. Gould is currently in the news because its city council is trying to enact and enforce a local ordinance banning free, peaceful assemblies and free speech without city approval. Mayor Nash has joined us today to provide an accurate picture of exactly what is really happening in Gould, Arkansas. Mayor Earnest Nash Jr., welcome to the Global Freedom Report. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
How long have you been mayor of Gould?
This is my first full term. I became acting mayor in 2009, and I ran for the position in 2010, ran a hard campaign. I had a runoff. There were two other people decided they wanted to be mayor too, but I'm the one the people chose.
All right, and I understand when you were acting mayor at the time, you were actually acting mayor you weren't even taking any pay for it at the time.
No, sir. I was only receiving my pay as a treasury reporter, and I wasn't taking any extra pay for being mayor.
I only bring it up because it shows something of your character. Now, frankly, the reports I've read about the city council's efforts have me stunned, and it takes a lot to get me stunned. I'm looking for you to tell us what really is true and what is false. What we hear is that your city council has either enacted or is planning on enacting a local ordinance declaring a state of emergency, and then on that foundation, a prohibition on peaceful assembly without city permission and a prohibition on speaking about the city without city permission. Is any of that true?
That is true. They have an active ordinance at this point in time, and the ordinance is law right now. And I haven't confirmed it. I haven't seen anything in writing yet. I saw something in the paper this morning that they are considering repealing that ordinance at our August 9th city council meeting.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine they've heard from no small number of people on this. Are these two prohibitions part of one ordinance or two separate ordinances?
Two separate ordinances. Ordinance number 0062001 -5 bans citizen group. Ordinance number 06200-4 bans me. So we're both banned.
Now, who is there a particular member of the council, some genius that actually came up with this idea? Where did this come from?
I don't know who thought of the ordinance. I was told that my board of treasurer was the one that typed them up, but I can't confirm that or deny that. But I don't know who was the genius that came up with these ordinances. I've heard one of my city council members say that it was not their intent to infringe on anybody's constitutional right. I find that kind of odd when if you're going to be in the business of politics, two things you should be a student of, two documents rather, that you should be a student of. One should be the United States Constitution and the other should be your state constitution.
I would unquestionably agree with that. Normally, when legislative bodies propose some kind of a bill, they normally give a reason. Like in the U.S. Congress, they have findings. We find this is the case, and therefore we're enacting this piece of law. Did the city council give some kind of official findings that would require that, we're having a problem, and that's why we have to restrict free speech?
No, they have not said any kind of findings that they outgroup. No. Let me take that back. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, can I read you exactly what the ordinance says, and maybe that's their finding.
How long is it?
It's very short.
Oh, please go ahead, by all means.
Yeah. It says that Citizen Advisory Council, by passage of this ordinance, hereby banned from doing business in the city. Section 2, the said council in effect is causing confusion, discourse among the citizens of Gould as a result of contributing to the friction between the mayor and the city council, but also among the citizens who deserve a cooperative government. Also, no new organization shall be allowed to exist in the city of Gould without prior approval from the majority of the city council. Briefly, let me talk about the discourse and the confusion. The confusion and discourse that this organization causes in our community is that this organization came in and were organized by the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, and they helped us get our voter registration list purged to where we did not have people who were deceased voting by absentee ballot. We didn't have people that didn't live here anymore, but lived in neighboring cities still voting in our city. This group, the discourse that this group calls, is that they help educate us on how to introduce legislation within our city council meetings and our state legislation. This organization caused so much discourse until they helped us get new laws passed that made education for our children better in our local school system. They caused so much confusion until they were able to get the school district and the state of Arkansas to pass laws where when schools are closed down, community organizations, nonprofits, and cities have first choice at those buildings. So much discourse in our community until they help our community develop a neighborhood watch program to help cut crime in our community and a beautification program to help beautify our community. So that's the discourse that they said they have caused in our.
Well, what actually strikes me is the statement that you made about from the ordinance that citizens deserve a cooperative government. Where did that ever come from? As a matter of fact, I thought that America was founded on the idea that we can dissent. We can sit there and say, no, this is wrong. We can fight about these things and in the process reach some kind of an accord. I thought that's the whole point. So what's this about cooperative governments?
I don't know. I don't know what that term cooperative government means to them. But for me, cooperative government means that as the mayor of the city, I go to citizens. I have town hall meetings. I ask citizens, what is it you want to see in your community, and try and make that happen. Citizens told me they wanted new streets in our community. We were able to use some FEMA disaster money to get new streets in our community. They told me they wanted a new sewer system. We received an $800,000 grant for a brand new sewer system. They said they needed new drainage. We received over a $200,000 grant for new drainage. And we're working on a new housing program for housing in our community because the citizens said that they did not want any more apartments because apartments are synonymous with poverty in a predominantly black community. So they want to have houses where they can own something, where they can try and live that American dream. So to me, a cooperative government is when the government listens to the people, because our Constitution says that we have a government of the people, by the people. So as the mayor, one of my platforms is to try and turn our community back over to the citizens and let the citizens govern the community through the mayor's office, because they are the ones I work for.
Now, let's talk about you as mayor. I don't know how it works in Gould. I have a general idea of how some local municipal governments work. As mayor, aren't you the head of the city council, and doesn't that give you a lot of control over the council agenda? And can't you use that control to make this go away?
Well, Arkansas is one of those states where the city council, where the state allows each individual city to decide who makes the agenda or who introduces ordinances and things of that nature. No, I don't have very much control over the city council agenda on what they present, what they don't present, because they represent the people of their ward. It would be nice, I guess, perfect world, if those city council members had something they wanted to present, they would come by and talk to me about it. And if they had to come by and talk to me about these ordinances, I would have told them, this violates constitutional rights. You may not want to do this.
But so the city council can go forward and do this despite your objection then?
despite my injection, the only thing I can do is I can veto ordinance if I so choose to, and I did choose to veto it.
Okay.
And then they can come back and they can override the veto. Once they override the veto, about the only thing I can do from that point is file an injunction in court and get it in court where a judge can stop the ordinance from going into effect. Or I can try and talk sense. But when people decide they want to do something, it's kind of futile to try and talk sense into them when they decided, well, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it regardless of what you say.
Well, and especially... Please. No, please, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add quick that I think that's the purpose of the veto. Veto is to give a little time to where you can try and be rational with the laws or the ordinances that people want to pass.
Yeah, and I was going to say, this is such a crazy... This ordinance seems to me so crazy that I doubt rational discussion would do anything. How many members are there on the council, including you?
There are 6 members on the city council. The city council members are Sonia Farley, who voted for the ordinance, Harry Hall, who voted for the ordinance, Veronica Tinsley, who voted for the ordinance, and a Rosie Smith-Lee, who voted for the ordinance. My senior city council members are Essie Caverton, who voted against the ordinance, Irma Preston, who also voted against the ordinance.
So then that doesn't include you. So you would make 7. Are you part of the council? Are you on the council?
No, sir. No, sir, I'm not.
So you are not. So there's 6 of them. Now, how many did it take? It took 4 of them to override your veto?
Correct.
All right. Now, you mentioned an injunction. How about an injunction? Have you gone for an injunction? Is there a judge who's going to stop this?
Well, no, I haven't gone for the injunction yet because, as I said, I've heard through, I guess you would say, the grapevine, I read in the newspaper that city council may have intentions on repealing these ordinances on August 9th. If they repeal them, I'll be happy. I'll be overjoyed. If they don't repeal them, my next move is to file an injunction, file suit on city council for a violation of my constitutional rights.
Now, that raises another issue. Why is this whole thing even an issue? As I understand it, the Arkansas Constitution clearly prohibits government restrictions on free speech and peaceful assembly. So doesn't that make these ordinances automatically null and void?
In my world, and in your world, it does, but in the city council world, no, it doesn't.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I don't understand their thinking behind the ordinance. I don't know if they were trying to root this one organization. Obviously, we have other organizations in our city. We have these council members belong to an organization which is called the Gould Community Service Corporation, and we also have the Lions Club, and we have the Quilting Club, and we have the churches here in town. All these are organizations here in our community. And this is the only group that was banned from meeting publicly and having free speech. They didn't ban any other group.
And that raises another question. It must be illegal to single out a specific group and then write a law to ban that group.
I would feel as though it is a law to single out just one organization and ban that one organization.
And I understand you're a member of that group. How much of what's going on here is politics?
I think the whole thing is. I think the whole thing is just smells bad of politics. And yes, I'm a member of the organization, and one of this organization's main purpose is to have an open, accountable government, and they hold us as city officials accountable. And by me being a member of the organization, they hold me most accountable. And I'm glad they're here to hold us accountable, because for too long have political officials got into office by saying one thing, and then when they get there, they do totally something different because we do not hold them accountable, hold their feet to the fire. I'm glad this organization is here to hold my feet to the fire on things I said that I would do as mayor for this community. Not only do they hold my feet to the fire, but they also work with me. And I think that's another important thing that citizens need to do. If you want your politician, you want your representative to do as they said they were going to do, you have to get up off the couch. You have to come out the house, and you have to go to them and say, what can I do to help you? And that is what this organization does. They're trying to root up out of our community.
Is there any appearance of wrongdoing in this whole mix, or is it just misguided intent by the council? Has there been any allegation or any issue or any possible issue of there being some kind of wrongdoing among the council members?
No, it hasn't been any wrongdoing, allegation of wrongdoing as far as I've heard or seen. I think it's what you said. I think it's misguided on the council's behalf, that they were guided the wrong way. I don't know if someone has a vendetta against the organization. I don't know if they have a vendetta against me or what. But I think it's just misguided. And one thing I want this to get mixed up, or anybody else across the country, our community is 95 African American. So this is not a situation where you have a group of African Americans cannot get along, or you have a small group of another race that is trying to control, trying to fuel the fire. What this comes down to for me is the Constitution. No matter if you're white, black, you were born here, you're immigrant, or naturalized citizen, the Constitution of the United States of America is the one thing that binds all of us together as Americans. And when I took the oath as the mayor, I took an oath to defend not only the Arkansas Constitution, but the United States Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to uphold the Constitution. So if I didn't take this fight on, and if I didn't hold up, I would be violating my oath I took, which would probably make me have committed perjury.
I'm so glad you take that attitude, and I know our listeners really appreciate it. And I personally appreciate what you just said about it not being a racial issue, because I was about to ask you about that. I was about to ask you whether there could be any kind of racial motivations. And, I hate the idea that issue, that question would even come into the mix. It should have no bearing. So I'm real glad that you addressed that. What about the people of Gould? How do they feel about, Gould has really become overnight a national, maybe even a global centerpiece. People are looking at what's happening in Gould. What do the people of Gould think and feel about this?
Let me tell you, we have gotten calls from literally around the country, from Virginia. And I don't know if you have listeners in Virginia. I have just got to say that Virginians are true patriots. I have received so many phone calls from the state of Virginia, Chicago, California, New York, D.C., Florida, just around the world. And the support has been overwhelming. And then for the city of Gould, I have had citizens, you'd almost think it's campaigning season or something, because I have had citizens to walk up to me and shake my hand and thank me for standing up for their rights. And the citizens have stood up. This is what I like. The citizens have stood up. Citizens have said, enough is enough. And if you cannot govern our city as it needs to be governed, we will do what it takes to send you home, because this cannot go on. And even if it was me that brought these ordinances up and tried to get them passed, they would feel the same way. They cut it straight down the middle for the most part. So the citizens of Gould have stood up, and they have said enough is enough, and we're not going to take it anymore. So I'm glad that our citizens have just said, hey, we're ready, and we're behind you. I really do appreciate that. And let me say this before we go to the next portion. a lot of people have called me a patriot and have called me a hero. I'm going to tell you, America, I'm not a patriot, not a hero. I don't consider myself that. I just consider myself American, African American, who loves my country. I love my city. I love my state. And I just want to see our community become better, better, and better, and prosper like we should prosper. Because if we do better, the rest of our state can do better, and hopefully, the rest of our country can do better. And if we as citizens of America stand up and take part in our governmental process, besides just going in a booth and marketing exercise beside somebody's name, we won't have all the problems we have across America with drugs and with the debt ceiling and with people losing their houses on mortgages and all these other things that are going on. We have to get up and we have to get involved and we have to make it happen. That is what made America what America is today, by we as citizens getting up and getting involved.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, we're almost out of time, but real quickly, is there a way to vote the council off, or when's the next election?
The next election is in November of 2012. So at that point in time, citizens vote this council off.
But they can't do like a no confidence before then?
They can't do that before then because the process is so long.
Understood.
By the time the process got through, the citizens can sign a petition asking a council member to resign. They don't have to resign, but I'm sure if they got a petition asking to resign,
Yeah, it's hard to ignore that. A question from our chat room: does the police chief back the council?
No, our police chief said that he is not going to enforce this ordinance. He said he took an oath to defend the Constitution.
Fantastic.
And he said this goes against.
Last question, because we're just about out of time. Mayor Nash, have you been in touch with Mayor Ed Foster in Quartzsite, Arizona, who's also going through council stuff?
No, I haven't talked to him, but I would really welcome a phone call from him, because I would really like to give him some support as well.
Excellent. Hey, thanks so much for spending this time with us. Mayor Earnest Nash, Jr., Gould, Arkansas, standing up for the Constitution against draconian ordinance by the City Council. The best of luck, God bless, and thanks for being with us.